astronauts, welcome back to Astro-Tarot Research. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Brandi and I like to use tarot and astrology to make practical, everyday, real-world predictions. So, this week's reading is actually pretty interesting. I was hit by a wave of inspiration and I think you guys are going to like this reading. This is you and your future spouse's first year together married edition. I've never done a reading like this and I haven't seen anyone do a reading like this. So in my mind, this is an original idea, but I could be wrong. But before we get started, I do want to remind you to like, comment, and to subscribe. Don't forget, I go live on the weekends. That's Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. And sometimes I pop up during the week. Time is posted on the community tab. And on the community tab, you can vote on what type of readings you like next or would like to see next. And I also love to poll and ask you guys random questions. And also, if you would like a private reading by me, all you have to do is go to the description bar below, fill that form out, and I will get back to you with your reading. I do Vedic chart readings and tarot readings. I can also do Western chart readings, but my preference is Vedic chart readings. So, let us get started on these piles. As always, we have 5 piles to choose from, and any links to social media can be found below. Sometimes I vlog and do other things, so if you're interested just in seeing what I'm doing with my life, just go ahead and check out that social media. We have pile number 1, pile number 2, pile number 3, pile number 4, and pile number 5. So let's not waste any more time and just sit back, relax, and choose. Pile number 1, let's get into your first year married. We have the King of Wands reversed, 5 of Wands reversed, the 5 of Wands upright. Okay. The Ace of Cups reversed. This is a bit different. Okay. And we have the 10 of Cups. And we have Capricorn. Your goals. The day-to-day reality of. Use the most business-like way. Okay. Very interesting. So, I mean, I think the most obvious thing is there may be a few humps in the first year of marriage that you have to get over, right? Especially since we have the King of Wands reversed and the 5 of Wands reversed and then the 5 of Wands upright. This 5 of Wands coming up twice definitely represents a little bit of, well, there's some arguments here. So, maybe because I see the King of Wands reversed. And when he's reversed, he might be fighting all the wrong battles, right? Very nitpicky energy, you know, kind of like someone who is picking a fight over things that just aren't that important. Don't click off because it does get better. We have this 10 of Cups over here on the end. So we know that the first year of marriage, you guys are going to manage to get it together or reach some sort of compromise, or just, there's a lot of adjusting to your new roles. Okay. There's a lot of adjusting to marriage life. It seems to me like this King of Wands individual, or maybe it's embodying both of you, are used to doing your things your own way. And you prefer things that way. You prefer things to be more so, you know, on your time or how you like to do things or things on lines of that. That might be you or them or both of them. And so there's a lot of going back and forth on what is maybe the right way you guys would like to live together. It could be a struggle to like figure out that morning routine or bedtime routine. Maybe you both like to shower at night, and so you both are like fighting to shower around the same time, or maybe one person works at night and the other one works in the morning, and so it becomes complicated trying to meet with each other or just like have that quality time. There seems to be like maybe one person would prefer to be head of household or something like that, but it just doesn't work for both of you. You're like, I don't know about that one. It's actually interesting because the first year, when I get the Five of Wands reversed, the Five of Wands reversed is all about saying, you know what, this ain't even worth it. This is not a fight I want to even continue battling. This is a pain in my butt. But then we have the upright version, which is like, no, I'm going to stand my ground on this. I really believe in this issue. And I feel as though the first year is you two both trying to figure out, where do I want to put my foot down and where do I want to just say, this ain't even worth fighting over. Like, you know what I mean? Certain things like, hey, could you put the remote back in the right spot? It's like, do I want to make a big fight out of this person moving the remote all over the place and I got to look for it? Or do I just want to wait until it's something really important and this is something I've got to say, hey, please stop. You know, please answer your alarm in the morning and get up, or, you know, please, I'm trying to think of like things people fight over. They fight over so many different small things. Or please make sure you know, wash your dishes, you know, before you go to bed or whatever. So we don't have just like dishes on the counter or something like that. Like, it's about picking and choosing your battles that first year. You two are really feisty with each other. And it is good and it can be frustrating at the same time, because I do get the Five of Wands to represent like banter, like teasing each other a little bit. But sometimes the teasing can go too far and it can hurt feelings, right? Like sometimes couples joke with each other and they have this sort of jokey nature, but then they don't realize when they hurt the other person. And that can be this Eight of Cups reverse card, where it's like, oh, like that actually kind of hurt my feelings a little bit. Even if that wasn't the intention of the other person, right? And so this first year of marriage is almost like a year where you guys are like getting to know each other. And the Ace of Cups reverse, oftentimes I get that to just like saying, I'm going to pour out all of my feelings. I'm just going to let it all out, you know? I've been holding things in and I've been bottling things up, and I feel now it's time to really express myself. So I feel as though once you guys really have a deeper understanding of each other's emotions, feelings, and the impact of your behaviors on each other or words, that's when it's like, oh, okay, let's see if we can work together. Let's be more compromising. Let's do things as a unit. Okay? So it just feels that way. And then maybe even some parts of the year, because like I said, this Ace of Cups is reversed, it may even feel as though, oh, maybe I'm making a big deal out of this. Let me not say anything. Until it gets to the point where it's like, no, I've got to express how I really feel about something. All right. So, or feeling a little bit let down, and then you're like, okay, I don't think we can continue this way in our marriage. I've really got to open up and say, hey, this is really disappointing to me. I really don't like this, or etc. Things along the lines of that. All right, so that's really the example of what I see happening within your marriage the first year. I think that when it comes to a routine, you guys remind me of another pile where the routine is very changeable. I think that because we have 2 5s here, it's almost as if someone is resistant to change. Because when we have the 5 of Wands reversed, it's like, I don't even want to put in the work to transform things or to shift certain activities, particularly when it comes to maybe how you like to live your life, because the wands connect to your first house. So it connects to the ninth house and it connects to the fifth house as well. The ninth house is kind of like your perspectives and your beliefs, and even advice. So it's almost like both of you or one or the other is just like, I'm not really open to seeing that person's point of view. And then as the year goes on, it's like, okay, well, let's discuss this further, because we would like to live in harmony and we would like to be in a fulfilling, happy, long-term relationship, which will happen. Like I said, everything gets sorted out towards like the end of the year. But initially it's like, oh, I don't want to even deal with this. This person is in the wrong. I'm telling my friends about this person. Like, and it's as if there is some misunderstanding. Like, it's hard to see the other person's perspective on something. But then you guys make the effort to try, or you guys might be clashing on how you prefer to spend your time, right? Like, people sometimes have expectations of their relationships after marriage that they don't communicate. And I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, because we don't have any swords here. And without swords, the communication isn't as strong, right? This is more so like, I just expect you to know these things, whether that's you on their side or the other person's side. It's just, this expectation is set without informing the other person. You know, I expect you to be home by, you know, come straight home after work, right? Rather than, okay, go out to happy hour, or I expect us to spend time together on the weekends at the house, like watching movies, etc. Rather than you go hang out with your friends every other weekend or something like that, right? These expectations that both of you may have on how a marriage works or what it looks like, this is going to be something that you guys sort out within the first year of marriage. And I know that you guys may be like, oh, this is not what I want to hear, Brandi. Like, this is not it. This is definitely not me, da 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 da. But I have to keep in mind, you guys, like, I am a more real world practical reader. I recognize that not everything is smooth and easy, but it doesn't mean that it's not worthwhile. And it would be strange for me to say, oh, everything is peachy and you guys get along and it's happy. I mean, we have the Five of Wands twice. Like, whether it's reversed, whether it's upright, it does show that there's conflict, right? And also there can be conflict within expectations or how things are done. There's definitely times that I've seen within people's lives where maybe one person really likes to go out, they like to have a good time, and the expectation is after marriage, oh, they won't do that as much anymore. But that's just who they are, and so it becomes a conflict within the marriage, right? And that's something that they have to work out. Then you have other people who are just like, well, I expected you, who may be more traditional, oh, I expected you to quit your job after marriage and we have kids and we start a family right away. And then it's like, oh, I didn't really have that in the plans for me. That's not really something I was looking for within a marriage, and I plan to still work. Like, these are things that people may not discuss or have in mind after marriage, or have in mind before marriage, and they don't express that to their partner. And I feel like that is going on. This sort of, oh man, my partner is burning me out right now. They're stressing me out a bit, because it feels as if we might even be going through repetitive arguments, or it feels as though maybe we're losing some of that spark, or maybe I can't be as open with my partner. It may feel like that the first year. But we get to this 10 of Cups and we manage to work through that. We manage to undergo a transformation. We manage to undergo these changes and grow emotionally. And it's about like addressing certain past situations or even certain humps that you guys have within your relationship, or certain expectations or beliefs or ideas of, or how you see the future. Because all of these wands connect to the ninth house, and the ninth house is your vision for the future. How you are going about things, how are you viewing things, how are you seeing things? And it looks like both of you have different visions of how that plays out. Or it might even be that you have a shared vision, but a different timeline. Like, right? You might have one partner who wants to have kids right away, but then the other partner is just like, let's wait a couple of years, right? And so now you guys may be in disagreement or misalignment when it comes to timelines. So this is something that is possible. Positive things is, like I said, you guys work it out. The Ten of Cups here I love to see, because the Ten of Cups represents harmony, represents getting along, represents being respectful, represents seeing the other person's perspective, represents feeling like you are connected, there's a mutual understanding, there's reciprocated feelings, people are listening to each other, they're curious about each other's lives. There's none of this emotional withdrawal. You grow and you come together. And so I really feel like that is happening within the relationship. There's more understanding as you grow within your partnership during the first year of marriage. So it's really about managing expectations, handling decision making, and learning to emotionally support each other and to see each other's point of view. There's a sense of trying to find balance between the way that you might want to do things and the way that the person you're married to may want to do things. And you guys may need to work on that communication aspect, all right? I feel as though when I get the Five of Wands here, this energy is very unpredictable, right? Five of Wands is like a million things being thrown at you at once. It's similar to the Two of Pentacles, but the Two of Pentacles is a little bit more organization. And what I mean by that is you may have a set schedule for the Two of Pentacles, and then someone calls and says, hey, can you pick up milk on the way from home, right? It's like, okay, I've got to be flexible. I can pick up milk on the way from home. Versus the Five of Wands is like a million different things come crashing at you at once. And you're like, I do not know if I'm going to be able to tackle this. It's like, okay, can you pick up milk on the way home? And then on the way home, you get a flat tire. And then also, you know, your phone dies. So you're like, oh, I can't even call AAA. It's like a lot of different things happening at once. And so may it feel like the first year of marriage for both of you or one of you that you're dealing with a lot of different unpredictable circumstances. And I also get the Five of Wands to represent someone being very busy and having a lot of responsibilities and errands to run. That is quite possible. So this first year of marriage may fly by really fast, especially with all of these wands. And it seems as if there is always something to do. There's always something to take care of. It reminds me of whack-a-mole, like you hit one mole and with the game, and another one just pops right up, and you're like, my goodness, this is what this year feels like. Like I take care of one problem, another one just pops back up. And it may not even be within the marriage. It could be outside of the marriage and things going on in your lives, especially since we have the sign Capricorn. So we know Capricorn connects to your goals and your careers. And so it may feel as though one person or both of you, either or it could be, may be undergoing some struggles or challenges within your career, whether that is finding a job or even just securing a new job, or if you guys are freelance, entrepreneur, contract workers, it could be like, okay, I'm trying to secure a new contract. I'm trying to get more freelance work. I often get the Five of Wands to represent I am hustling to gain new clients. Like I am hustling to advertise myself. I've seen it for people. It doesn't necessarily mean all the time like things are bad financially, but it can represent that I'm trying to make some changes so that I can get additional income. When I see the wands are proactive energy. The wands are like marketing, advertising. Like, I'm going to see like who I can compete with and get on my side so that I can have more of a market share, right? You know what I mean? It reminds me how like big companies compete with each other, or even smaller companies. It's like, how can I advertise myself so that I can bring about more visibility for myself, more gains, etc. And so one person may be like more of an entrepreneur, and that person may be in hustle mode. They're like, I'm trying to make sure that I get a lot of different clients. For some of you, this can definitely represent that maybe some of the emotional needs aren't met throughout the full entire year, because one partner might be focused on growing themselves in their career, or both might be growing themselves in their career. And so it may feel like you guys don't have time to connect in that way. And it may even feel like, oh, my partner isn't being as affectionate as I would like. And on the other hand, it can just represent that one partner is just really, really busy and they're stressed a lot. And so they're learning to try to manage that stress, manage that emotions. And it's hard because they have a lot of responsibilities and duties that they need to take care of. It feels like a little bit of a heavy load on their back. There's definitely plenty of chores to do. And I wouldn't be surprised if you guys were undergoing some renovations within that first year when it comes to your apartment, condo, whatever home, wherever you're staying. I wouldn't be surprised if that was going on. Setting up different home offices or workspaces, or even things on the lines of that. I feel as though there is probably some hosting of people coming over in terms of what your home life looks like, just because we have that Five of Wands, and Five of Wands can definitely represent company. And maybe one of you or the other person might have like a rowdy family or something like that. Or even if they're not rowdy, it just feels like, oh my gosh, my sister just showed up at my doorstep, and she broke up with her boyfriend and or girlfriend or whoever, and they need a place to stay for a week just to comfort them. And it's like, okay, this is a surprise circumstances that we have to get used to and accommodate this person for a week. And it just feels like that. And it's like, oh my God, this is chaos. A little bit. But there's not a set routine here. There really isn't, guys. Your set routine is, like I said, it's similar. It reminds me similar to another pile, where it feels as if people might be popping up, family might be stopping by, friends might be stopping by, and you're just like, these people just keep coming up to our home, and we're trying to figure out our own marriage for ourselves, and they are just popping up, wanting to visit, wanting to hang out, or maybe they have some troubles that they want counseling with. And I think that is going on here. I will say, you know, when it comes to combining investments, we only have Capricorn, which is the one sort of pinnacle natured earth sign energy going on here. And it's not necessarily about like combining joint finances, especially since we have all these fives and the King of Wands reverse, as well as the Ace of Cups reverse. This can represent that what's going on here is that the first year of marriage, I don't see that combined income. I really don't. I feel as though both of you have separate accounts and you guys are using your accounts to, you know, pay for certain things. But one thing I will say for sure is that you're both in alignment in terms of what you are spending your money on, because we do have that 10th house Capricorn. And overall, you are both working towards some higher goal. Whether you guys are just like saying, we need to eventually buy a new house or invest in something long term. We need to save for maybe having kids or whatever the case may be. But it feels as though you both have your own way of financial planning, but you both are keeping the same goals in mind. Like I said, you guys are in line, maybe in more so in line with the goal you're trying to reach, but the way you're doing it is you guys have your own methods. This is definitely, like I said, adjusting to each other's families, possibly disagreements over chores, disagreements maybe over sleeping habits. Maybe one person likes to sleep with the TV on, or they like to stay up late and read a book before bed, and it's like, ah, man, I'm trying to sleep. Can you turn the light off? Maybe even dealing with certain physical activities. Like one person is like, hey, like, I would love for us to go running together or something. I don't know. But and the other person's like, no, on the weekend I like to sit and I like to relax. Like that, I don't want to run and do that on the weekend. I prefer to go to the gym or something, or not do that at all. Like, so that could be something. So I would say it can be some adjustments. I've already said it. There's going to be some adjustments, and how you guys prefer your leisure time, how you guys navigate expenses, how you guys have your routines, adjusting to how you do holidays. Is it your family that we're going to this Christmas? Is it my family? Should we do both? Like, it's just a lot of different adjustments that you guys will have to get used to, but eventually you will get there, and there's alignment, there's support, there's love, there's care. But it may not feel that way initially, but you're like, initially you guys, man, you're getting on my nerves a little bit, but the passion is there. I do know that. So I know that there's, you guys are probably the most passionate couple that I've seen so far when it comes to the attraction, the connection, the feeling of, oh, I can't keep our hands off of each other in that way. You guys are very physically compatible from all of the piles that I've seen so far. And I feel as though once you guys have an understanding of how you want to move within your relationship, that everything seems to be in alignment. I feel as though you're learning as a team and you're becoming more comfortable with having to be more vulnerable. That's something that may not come as naturally to both of you or one of you. So you're opening up a little bit more, and it may feel as though like, hey, we don't have a choice but to open up more if we want to survive as a couple, if we want to live and create a beautiful life together. And so that's happening a lot the first year. It really is an opportunity to be more open and vulnerable with each other, because it's going to feel as if you or them or both of you have been holding certain things in. And once you guys let this out, it's like, okay, let's work together. Let's move from a place of love, right? Also for this pile, I think one partner may either work from home. I only say that because we have the 10 of Cups and we have Capricorn here. And so that can indicate that someone might be more like, hey, I work from home, while the other person may commute more, because I generally get the 5 of Wands to represent more of a commute and going back and forth with each other. As I said, I don't see a lot of swords here. So texting and things throughout the day or calling throughout the day, I don't think that's a thing. I really don't at all. Otherwise, we would see way more swords, or like even a sword house or something like that. You know, this is very much like, I don't know, there's a lot of passion here. There's a lot of like, you know, when I see you, it's like a, you know, hug, kisses, things like that. That's something that's overflowing. That's something that's happening a lot. A lot of inside jokes, a lot of fun, happiness, in terms of like, you guys will really make each other laugh. Okay. I do want to emphasize that when I get the 5 of Wands, that's like, oh, this person's funny. This person makes me laugh. This person, says silly things and things on lines of that. I feel like that is happening here. I feel like you guys are more spontaneous when it comes to how you're spending your time and what you decide to do. There's not a lot of, you know, next month we're going to go to the zoo or the park or whatever. It's more so like, hey, what do you want to do this weekend? And it's like, okay, I was thinking about doing this, and then you guys just go do it. So more spontaneous time on how you're spending your, most spontaneous events on how you're spending your time. But the bond really does grow over the year. And I feel like you're creating more inside jokes for your marriage. I feel like there's more spontaneity, like if you're taking a weekend trip. And also, you're learning a lot about each other, because all of these wands represent learning and understanding. And seeing how sorry for the camera cut off. You are seeing how the other person thinks, and you're learning each other, and what you learn may surprise you, but in a good way. So that is where I want to end this for you, pal. Number 1 may not be what we want to hear. And if you don't resonate, feel free to choose a new pal or maybe a new reader. But either way, I'm very happy that you stopped by. I think it's a beautiful spread where you guys are growing and you're learning and you're bouncing ideas off of each other. So hopefully that resonates. If not, feel free to choose a new pal or a new reader. Either way, I'm happy you stopped by. Don't forget that I offer private readings. I go live on the weekend. Private readings can be found in the description bar. Time I will go live, be posted by Tuesday night. I will see you next time. Au revoir. Hey, pal. Number 2, let's get into you and your future spouse's first year together married. We have the Hierophant. We have the Knight of Swords. We have the Wheel of Fortune. And this is the Astro-Tarot deck and panoramic deck if you're interested in that. I'm trying to figure out how to place these. We have the Knight of Pentacles, and we have 5th house. Ooh, creations and the power of love. And we have the 2 of Pentacles. Okay. Let's get into this. So, when it comes to your first year together, it is a bit of a whirlwind. And I feel that because we have this Wheel of Fortune and we have the 2 of Pentacles. And that's all about changes, developments, and even a bit of a balancing act. So there's a new routine to settle into. It's not like if you have been a couple and you have moved in before marriage, that routine will change. If this is your first time living together during marriage, then it's something to get used to, okay? But I feel as though it's going to be a lot of fun. It's not a stressful vibe. It's more so, all right, we'll figure it out, okay? It's just a lot of that energy going on, like figuring out, okay, I prefer to wake up at this time, and please don't have your alarm be too loud, and handling financial decisions as well, especially with this 2 of Pentacles here. This is definitely having to reconsider things, restructure things, kind of take things as you go, to be honest. There is a plan in place. I'll say this. With the 2 of Pentacles and the Hierophant, there's a plan in place. You guys are not financially irresponsible, but it is new because you'll be managing 2 joint incomes coming in. And not only that, but you guys have to decide together and support each other in how you make financial decisions. And both of you will be involved when it comes to the financial decisions. This is not one person over the other. This is both of you coming together to work together when it comes to that. So I want you to know that, but it's really a lot of adjusting to new roles within your married life and also navigating a shared space. That's going to be something to get used to for you guys, okay? Especially with the Knight of Pentacles and the Knight of Swords. To me, I feel like that represents both of you guys' personalities. One person likes a very particular routine. Somebody is very structured in how they prefer to do things every day. Then we have this Knight of Swords person who's a little bit more flexible, more spontaneous, and they're also someone who, honestly, they're going to be either someone who's a strong talker, meaning they talk a lot, they're very verbal, very verbose at home. And I feel as though with this Knight of Pentacles person, they're like, okay, this is something to get used to. All right. It's not necessarily irritating or particularly stressful, but it's just something new to get used to. It really is an adjustment of roles. Okay, so I do want to, and I do see that. And it's interesting because I see this Knight of Pentacles person being like, I go to bed around like 10 p.m. every night. And this Knight of Swords person is just like, sometimes I go to bed at 10, sometimes it's 1 a.m., sometimes it's early, sometimes it's like it's changeable. Okay, so there's a lot of that going on. The romance is strong with you guys, especially when we have this 5th house energy. And that's not surprising. I think that's very common amongst newlyweds, where it feels as though you guys are keeping that romance going. You're still going out on dates. You're still having those, if you do Friday pizza night, movie nights, board games. There's a lot of hitting the town, going to events, trying new restaurants, brunch spots, or even other areas and things you might explore, like a venture park or karaoke or gardening, or like you guys are still going out and having a lot of fun. And especially when we have this Wheel of Fortune here, the Wheel of Fortune is all about expansion, growing, developing. It's not particularly about like staying at home and doing nothing. So there is a sense of adventure there and exploration there. So I feel as though that's going to be a lot of your first year together. It's interesting when I see this because I have this Hierophant card, and that is a card having to do with tradition. So I feel as though, kind of what I said before, you guys are defining the roles within your marriage. A lot of it will be fairly traditional. And what I mean by that is you might have like, if you're in a heterosexual relationship, the guy might like take out the trash, the woman might do the dishes or most of the cooking, at least for that first year. Doesn't necessarily, we're just talking about the first year. And so you guys might fall a little bit more into that traditional roles, either because you've agreed upon it or because this just represents what you guys feel most comfortable with, and you just naturally doing that. Also, when I see the Hierophant, it's actually really interesting because this particular Knight of Swords individual is seeking advice a lot when it comes to their marriage. And I also get the Wheel of Fortune to connect to Jupiter, who is a counselor. So there is a lot of counseling from friends or family. I'm going to emphasize family a little bit more. When it comes to your married life, I don't know whose family it is, but somebody's family is a little bit more heavily involved in the relationship. It feels as though someone is guiding them through the relationship. They're trying to provide them advice, whether that's you or your spouse. But they are giving them their thoughts into a marriage or their marriage in particular. They're leading them. They're giving them insights. They're providing them feedback. And your spouse or you are taking that and applying that into a relationship. And it doesn't necessarily have to be family. It could literally just be a therapist or a counselor. In that case, if either one of you are in therapy, I feel like you guys are seeking guidance to say, okay, we might need some help with this relationship, or just general assistance, you know. One thing that I encourage on this channel is obviously taking care of your mental health. And for some reason, people feel as though going to couples counseling is something you only do when you are in a funk or you're about to break up or something along the lines of that. But there's definitely preventative counseling, like, and I mean preventative like in terms of divorce, where you can go to couples counseling early in your relationship, or even at the start of your marriage, to ensure that you guys are building solid communication and to ensure that you are both functioning as a unit and that things are amicable within your relationship. So I feel like that is happening for you two in particular. So keep that in mind when it comes to that. And also, I feel as though this is the typical, we are going to be celebrating certain holidays together. We're going to create our traditions. I don't know if it's like I don't believe it's a radical shift from things that you already do. Like, for example, I have friends who open up gifts on Christmas Eve. And then you have friends who open up Christmas gifts on Christmas days. And so for both of you, it's like you're bringing both of your traditions into the relationship. And if there seems to be a clash or there's some differences, there's a lot of, okay, we'll tweak this a little bit. Maybe we open some gifts on Christmas night, but then the rest of the gifts on Christmas Day. There's that vibe to it. So look out for that. But yes, I definitely feel as though there are definitely going to be some conversations with families, some dinners with families. A few family events are going on within this year. One particular person is closer to their family than the other, and you're definitely coming along for the ride. So you're going to be attending, birthday parties, celebrations. There's a lot of going on this particular year, especially when we have the Hierophant and we have the fifth house going on here, the house of fun, the house of creativity, the house of like enjoying yourself. These are things to celebrate. These are happy moments. And so I feel as though one particular person has a very active social life, especially this Knight of Swords individual. It's showing that they are very much invested within their community, within their family. And so they're like, hey, my brother has a birthday party. Let's go. My friend has a birthday party coming up. They've invited people. We're doing that. Maybe even some double dates. That is within the realm of possibility here. But I really see there's an emphasis happening with that. I don't particularly think that they are visiting your home. I feel as though the traveling is you guys going outside the home. That is the main feel. You might have a welcoming party or a new apartment party, whatever you call that. I can't remember the name of that. Whatever. A move-in party. But other than that, I feel like most of the work is like we're traveling outside the home. We're going to see people rather than us hosting the celebrations ourselves. You have to remember the Knight of Swords and Knight of Pentacles. They're still in work mode. They're still in learning mode. They don't live this incredibly lavish lifestyle, and they're not party hosts. The Knight of Pentacles is a busybody, worker bee. I'm getting things done. The Knight of Swords, they like to work. They like to socialize. They like to chat. But for the most part, they like to go by the information in front of them, right? So they aren't particularly excited about planning ahead or hosting a party. That's not their vibe. So that is what I see happening for, how friends and family are involved in your lives. Your quality time together is actually really interesting. I see a particular person, when they get married, their career is going to start to grow a little bit more. And also when you guys get married, both of your finances will bloom more, and there's going to be some decisions on how you choose to invest that and save it and spend it. That is a major theme when it comes to the first year of marriage, focusing on the financial aspect, focusing on financial growth and opportunities in that area. Particularly this Knight of Pentacles person is going to be the one who's going to initiate those conversations a lot more. I do feel like this is stable in terms of finances. I think this is more of a situation that is about, okay, what do we do? What do we do with all of this information that we have? When it comes to how you guys are like spending time together, I already mentioned that you guys are going out a lot, but I really do feel like this Knight of Pentacles person that particularly if this person has a creative pursuit, if they have their own business, if there's someone who has a side hustle or a gig, first year of marriage, they're going to be quite busy, especially since we have this Two of Pentacles. And I always get that to represent, not always, but a lot of times I get that to represent juggling a lot. Like, oh, I have school and work. I have a main job and a side job. I have a business. Then I also have a hobby that I take very seriously and that I have some responsibilities towards. Like, for example, I could be an accountant, and then I could have a position at my church where I lead the choir, and I may not be getting paid for that, but it's a responsibility. So this particular Knight of Pentacles person is juggling a lot throughout the marriage, and especially that first year. And I really see that they're getting more opportunities come into them. So if like they have their own business, and I only mention their own business because the 5th house connects to your creative pursuits, your business, you taking control of the narrative. It's not necessarily I work for somebody, it's I work for myself and I am control of that. And then it also represents those creative pursuits. So this person in particular, their business starts booming a lot more when it comes to this first year of marriage. And so just keep in mind that either you or them are going to be a little bit busy. So when it comes to, like, if you're like, are we eating the same thing every day? Like, for example, me personally, I'm just using me for an example. I prefer to eat like, you know, salmon or yogurt or like smoothies. And I eat those things pretty regularly. We have this Two of Pentacles here. And I feel as though there's a lot more eating out. And thus, there's more fun money. Like there's more money to spend on like going to different places to try out different things. And I feel as though this first year is a lot of transforming and changing, and in terms of diets, habits, styles, things that you eat, it's not super consistent. And like I said, that Knight of Pentacles person is going to want to push for that consistency. But really things are just going to be too busy for one or the other. And that's going to affect the scheduling in terms of like, I don't know what we're going to eat today. We're probably going to eat out, or I'll just whip something together in the kitchen, whatever we have. It's like just a little bit flying by the seats of your pants here, right? Love to see the Two of Pentacles. I recently got this card for someone going on vacation. And then combined with the 5th house going on here, yeah, you guys are vacationing a bit. I don't know if you guys have an extra long honeymoon, an extended trip, especially with the Wheel of Fortune. That definitely connects to moving, traveling, going different places. But this does seem to be a fun year. This is very exciting. It's interesting, though, how we don't have a lot of wand energy. And you would think that first year of marriage, it's more so we can't keep our hands off of each other, you know, type of vibe going on here. But it's really not that. Not to say that there is not chemistry. There's plenty of it. It's more so you guys are just getting in a routine where you're comfortable together. Well, it feels like you're building a home. And there's a lot more of I'm making money, we're going on vacations and we're having fun together. I often get the Two of Pentacles for like close friends. So it's almost like the first year of marriage, you're focusing more so on the friendship aspect of your bond and your relationship. So I do want to say that if you're like, do we split bills or not? The Hierophant is the first card that came up. And so I think if there's one particular person who is more masculine, they're likely to carry most of the weight in terms of bills. I'll say that. And we do have the Two of Pentacles. So it's not as though the other person isn't paying for things. For sure they are. Two of Pentacles definitely represents resources, shared resources, but somebody is carrying the bulk of the bills. So I do want to say that. In terms of like texting each other throughout the day and things along the lines of that, I feel like this Knight of Swords person is going to text throughout the day. This Knight of Pentacles person is a little bit slower to respond. Like I said, I feel like this person in particular is very, very busy that first year of marriage. Like, they really are. Like, the demand increases, the workload increases, and also the creative inspiration increases. But there is romance. I do want to say that. There's plenty of romance here. We pulled that 5th house card for a reason. That is always about feeling like your intimate life is very active and satisfying. I'll go into that. You know, YouTube is going to block the things that I say. So this can definitely be a lot of weekend trips, trying new recipes, I'm trying to look at things from like a fitness perspective. And it's not exactly that the hobbies are choosing. If it's a okay, I'll say this. If it's a fitness thing, like if you guys have fun together by working out, then it's more so muscle building than it is cardio. So it's not like we're going on walks together. It's like we're lifting weights together. Like, because Pentacles, there's so much Pentacle energy and there's so much like Earth sign energy. Earth sign energy, I've noticed, focuses a lot more on muscle building. And so if you guys are into the gym, then this is more so, yeah, we build muscle together. That's the type of wellness that we do. I don't see a lot of disagreements here, but don't get me wrong. Knight of Swords and the Knight of Pentacles, they can beef with each other, and maybe this Hierophant person, counselor, can help with that. It's just because they have different ways of approaching matters. You have one person who can be more into like spontaneity. That's going to rub the Nine of Pentacles person the wrong way, who likes things planned, who likes things structured, who doesn't like to just come home and say, hey, like, let's go to this concert. I just heard da-da-da. They're like, wait a minute. Like, I just got home. If you want me to go to a concert, you should have told me a week ago or 2 days ago or 3 days ago. And it's like, please. I have things to do. I just can't drop everything. So this Knight of Pentacles person is very like stiff. They're just like, not in a bad way. They just prefer to like, hey, I just can't drop everything and go off to this concert with you. So that's what I mean. Like, there may be some disagreements in that, but I don't feel like this is like bad blood. I don't feel like you guys are at each other's throats or you're beefing and I don't see that vibe at all. Okay. I really don't. In terms of like, I feel as though, I don't know if this is like you guys moving into a new home. And the only reason I say that is because I don't see a lot of cards that represent decorating. This is the type of energy that's just like the house might decorate itself. Like, we need a microwave. We quickly look up a microwave, or we decide in 2 weeks what type of microwave we have. And then we just get that. It's not like we have this long-term vision for it, that we're enacting and replacing this type of furniture and that. This Knight of Pentacles person may want to do that, but they will be so busy that they're going to be forced to sort of make a little bit more impulse or flexible on-the-spot decisions. And so that's what is throwing me as a reader when I see like, is this a new home or is it not a new home? But either way, in terms of like decorating the home, whether this is new or not, it's kind of just like, we'll take things as it comes. If the dishwasher doesn't work anymore, you know, we have to replace it, and, you know, we'll figure that out. If the couch isn't functional, or if we just want to switch up the location of it, then we'll just do that. So there's something like that. There's no like intentional, we are decorating this place type of vibe going on here. And I feel that that's going on. Either way, I think neither one of you works from home. Or if you do, it's like a hybrid situation. I feel as though you're splitting chores, like I said, probably more so in a traditional sense. I think this is also indicating that you both definitely keep your independence. There are meaningful conversations. There's a lot of conversations about how this is practically going to work. And you guys are having a lot of fun. Your first year is very, very fun. Learning new things about each other, discovering more. To me, it feels as though the first year is just like, how is this going to work? And then having a bunch of like moments of just excitement and vacation and things along the lines of that. So that is what I have for you guys, pile number 2. I really love this energy. One person's got that spontaneity and wants to make those quick decisions. May not always be the best decisions. Another person is like, hey, let's slow down. They take a little bit longer to decide. But both of you can agree that you love having fun. You love spending time together. You guys are open to new adventures. You are definitely going on vacation a lot. Don't know why, but you are. And I see that happening for you. So that is what I have, and hopefully this resonates with something you're looking for. If not, feel free to choose a new pile, or maybe I'm going to have to read it for you. Either way, I'm happy you stopped by. Don't forget I go live on the weekends. And if you want a private reading with me, then that can be found in the description bar below. Just fill out the form, and I'll get back to you. And I will see you next time. Au revoir. Hey, pal. Number 3, let's get into your first year of being married. We have the 6 of Pentacles. The 5 of Swords, but it would be reversed since it's following the 6 of Pentacles. The Page of Pentacles reverse. The Tower. We have the Mercury placement. And we have the King of Wands upright. No, I think we got the King of Wands for another pile as well. All right. So I'm glad to see the 5 of Pentacles reverse, because lets me know that first year of marriage, you guys are clearing up potential miscommunication. 5 of Swords upright definitely can be a card in which it feels as though people are getting a lot of different mixed messages, or they aren't really working together harmoniously to accomplish a goal. And so since it's reversed like this is definitely great, because this is about picking and choosing your battles. This is about, hey, I think there's some areas that we need to work on when it comes to being in alignment and how we communicate with each other. Maybe even some things going to go back on. For example, like, let's say, let's say someone needs to go to the grocery store. You said, hey, can you pick up almond milk? Can you pick up cereal? Can you pick up ham? Can you pick up peas, right? The person goes to the store and they come back and they forget the peas. And it's like, okay, maybe next time write down a list so that we are in alignment with what exactly we need to get and check things off. So that's a really small example, but it just goes to show when you have the 5 of Swords reversed, it's about working on potential miscommunication, as well as any hiccups and how things are done. So I do want to put that out there, versus when you have it upright, it can be pretty chaotic. I've had some 5 of Swords days, and it's a lot of competing messages. Everyone's trying to push forth their agenda. And it doesn't necessarily make sense, especially if you're working within a team or in a relationship or a one-on-one partnership. Versus reversed, it's like, okay, we're going to have to come to some sort of compromise. So we're going to have to throw in the towel. We can't be at each other's necks. And I think that's great, because we do have that 6 of Pentacles here. And that does show support. That does show a lot of potentially one particular partner carrying a little bit more of the weight to some degree in certain areas. First of all, the 6 of Pentacles is about balance. So you might have one partner who is offering more effort in one area and then the other partner offers more effort in another area. So it feels like there's this give and take when it comes to your marriage. It doesn't feel like one person's just giving all the time. Doesn't feel like one person's just taking all the time. And if it starts to feel that way, I think you guys will call it out, especially since we have the Tower here. The Page of Pentacles reversed. That card can represent someone feeling as though there is some aspects to the routine that doesn't necessarily align with their own sense of peace or comfortability. And there's different aspects to that. For example, maybe you like coming home and sitting in silence, right? And maybe your husband or wife, they're a talker, right? They're just talk. And you're like, man, I don't want to say anything because I want to keep the peace, like this Five of Swords here. But this is really getting on my nerves here. And so this Tower moment happens when you're like, please, just give me my moment of silence, right? I think there was a Sex and the City episode like that, but that does happen, right? Page of Pentacles is a card that is oftentimes reluctant to change and transform. And since we also have the Five of Swords reversed, that can also represent a resistance towards change and transformation. To me, it feels as though maybe certain things you felt like you weren't used to communicating, or you haven't felt as comfortable communicating, because the Page of Swords is already very shy. But when the Page of the Page of Pentacles is already very shy, but when the Page of Pentacles is reversed, it's almost like they're even more shy. They're even a little bit more awkward. And they're like, how do I phrase this? Like, how do I say that I would love for you to contribute more in this area? I would love if, if you could pick your socks up off the floor. Like, it's like, I don't want to have to say these things. I've never had to communicate this before and I feel awkward saying it. But then we have this Tower moment and the truth comes out. And there may even be just an explosion of just like, let me just clear the air and just say how I feel, honestly. And I think when that happens, that's when there's more proactivity within your marriage, meaning things are being taken care of. It's not like your needs are being neglected, because oftentimes when you get the Page of Pentacles reversed, it can represent your needs being neglected. And that's maybe because partially, maybe the other person doesn't notice it, or maybe you haven't been vocal about it, okay? And so when the King of Wands comes in, he takes a proactive approach and he's like, oh, I didn't know you felt this way. Let me go take care of this thing. A King of Wands type of day is someone who definitely wants to be appeasing towards others, but they're also looking to make sure that they're happy within their own lives. And I feel as though there's a good balance between you two. Meaning, I feel as though you guys have your independence, meaning you still hang out with your friends, but you still make time for each other. You still have your own hobbies, but then you still do things together. The King of Wands is a very energetic card. Sometimes too energetic. I've seen the King of Wands to represent, working late night into the hours, 2 a.m., grinding away. And so it can feel as though you both will start extending a lot more energy into your marriage. And that could be because maybe one partner or both partners may feel their needs might be neglected in one area. And it's like, oh, wait, we might want to be proactive about this and be intentional. And so that's something that can happen. I feel as though when we have this Mercury and Mars combination, there's a lot of household duties going on here. It never feels like this is a quiet household, especially with the Tower moment here. And this can also even just quite be literal, where your first year of marriage, maybe something breaks in your house, right? And you have to get a repair. Like, that can happen. You're like, oh my God, my basement is flooded, so we have to repair that. Or we have to move. Because when we have Mercury and Mars come together, it can represent mobility and sudden circumstances when it comes to your daily routine being disrupted, and moving is one of those things. It can also represent, I don't see I'll say this. The King of Wands is very active. He's not a homebody, really. So when I see like the King of Wands come up for how somebody's week's going to be, I'm like, oh yeah, they're probably going to go out, right? If they're not going to go out, then they're at least going to be working at home. They're going to be doing some sort of hobby or some sort of work at home for sure. The King of Wands is someone who is always following their passions. And not only that, but he connects to the 5th house in astrology, which is the house of fun, pleasure, excitement. And yeah, you can have a lot of fun at home, but generally the King of Wands, he's a little bit of a social animal here. And so what I'm trying to say is I feel as though there is a lot of in and out of the house type of energy. There have been other piles where it's been clear that maybe there's a hybrid sort of work situation where one partner might be at home, or one partner works hybrid. Sometimes they're at home, sometimes they're at work, or maybe even one partner's at home completely. This situation, I feel like you're both going out and making the bacon. Like, this is not, we're staying in the home all the time. Like I said, it's very in and out of energy. And there may even be some differences in your schedules that you guys have to accommodate each other for. I want to say the King of Wands energy can definitely represent one partner works late nights. Like I said, the King of Wands likes to work into the late nights of the early hours of the night. What am I even trying to say? He works late, right? He'll stay up till 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. grinding away. So it can definitely represent one partner or even both of you guys working late nights or even having late night shifts. I feel as though we do have this Tower moment. So, and it is the King of Wands. He can be spicy. So there could be arguments, but I think it'd be like one big release, right? And then there is conversations around things because we do have that Mercury energy there. And Mercury is, many words, the awareness of. So there's a rise in self-awareness and understanding of each other, especially when you have Mercury there, understanding the little things that make somebody unique, like how they like to take their coffee. Do they want oat milk? Do they prefer lattes? Do they prefer cappuccinos? Like, it's really getting to know the details about each other within your first marriage. I feel like that's happening. I think there is a sense of eating together, I think, most nights, just because we have the 6 of Pentacles there, and Pentacles do connect to what you put in your body. And since it's like, hey, I've cooked something for you, here, have something like this, right? I feel like that's going on. This is the one pal I can say you guys are probably more consistently having dinner together, for sure. Or at least cooking together to some regards. Like, that can happen. One person is chopping up the vegetables, the other person stirring the pot. There's that type of energy going on in this relationship. Or something like, one person does the laundry, one person folds, one person hangs clothes. Like, it's a lot of teamwork here within this relationship. Though I do feel like when it comes to the decor, if you guys are moving into a new place, there may be some clashes on the decor. Okay, I'll say that. And one person in particular, I feel like is a late night snacker. So just want to throw that in there. There may be more late night snackage going on the first year. Don't know why that's important, but it's been thrown in there. I will say, when we have the Page of Pentacles, they're not the best when it comes to money and finances. Page of Pentacles can make some impulsive decisions when it comes to spending, especially when we have Mercury and Mars together. Mercury rules Virgo, the house of debts, the house of material gains and work. And when it comes together with Mars, it's like impulse buying, impulse expenses, especially when we have this Page of Pentacles there. For the most part, finances are pretty balanced, but we do have one particular person who may like to shop a lot, who may like to buy a few things that may not particularly be all that useful. And that's going to be something you guys have a conversation about when it comes to that. I don't think it's consistent. I don't think it's like you guys are doing weekly budget check-ins or monthly budget check-ins, especially with the Page of Pentacles reversed. But it will be a conversation here and there about spending and fun money and making those impulse buys. One thing that we see here also is when we have the Tower and we have the King of Wands here, we all know the Tower just rules unexpected moments, right? And so this can definitely represent that you are, one, learning some things about your spouse that you just didn't know about, or they were learning things about you. Two, like I said, there can be some just unpredictable moments and circumstances that can be happening during the first year that you guys are married. Now, this Tower moment is nestled between two of the Court cards, and so this could be news about certain things that you were not expecting. And these things can happen, like, for example, maybe your landlord raises the rent and you're like, oh, we can't afford to live here. We've got to make a move. We've got to make a change. That can be some unexpected news that comes out of nowhere. There's lots of different circumstances, but whatever the case may be, does seem to be some big news that causes you guys to have to shift and change plans. The Tower isn't always this detrimental moment, but I've definitely seen the Tower to represent, okay, things are not going as we thought, things are not planned, things are not what I thought they were going to be. And I feel like there's some moments like that. If it's not between you guys, like I said, it's just things happening around you, but when it comes to your marriage, you know? So these things can 100% happen now. You can even look at the current administration as they're cracking down on immigration. There are a lot of couples who are having their spouses be detained. Now, hopefully it's not something serious like that, but it can be a situation where you just feel like, oh wow, like I was not expecting this to happen, and now we have to make a pivot. Like I got a job offer in a new city and I have to move, or we have to go suddenly take a work trip to right? Because so-and-so fell sick. So these things are a part of the marriage. And I only mention travel because when you have Mars and Mercury, this can represent short-term trips or unexpected short-term trips. So that's something to think about when it comes to adjusting to the married life. Also, what I was going to say is this King of Wands character next to the Tower can represent a person who likes to surprise you. Now, some surprises may hit, some surprises may be misses, but this can definitely indicate that you will be marrying someone who likes to give those surprises, or maybe you like to surprise them, whatever the case may be. But there is spontaneity when it comes to, or spontaneity when it comes to the King of Wands, especially right next to the Tower. It's, you know, expect the unexpected. Maybe they come home with flowers, you know, every now and then. And you're like, oh, wow, wasn't expecting that. Like I said, some gifts you may like, some gifts you may feel a little bit hesitant on, especially when the Page of Pentacles is reversed. But, you know, maybe it's the thought that counts here. Sometimes we can see the Six of Pentacles and the Page of Pentacles in the same deck, especially with the Tower to represent unexpected guests. And especially when we have Mercury, Mercury really rules a lot of different people and lots of communication and mass communication. And so when it comes to your married life that first year, there could be some unexpected guests popping in. Don't know how your family is set up or how your friends are, but you may have to set some boundaries there with them, especially with that Page of Pentacles. Page of Pentacles definitely takes side trips and says, oh, I'm in the area, let me stop by, like that type of vibe. So if you have someone in your life like that, that is quite possibly going to be happening. during your marriage, that first year, one person's just always inviting people over and you're like, oh, I want my quiet time. Or maybe somebody in their family or friends is just stopping by and you're like, okay, maybe we need to have a conversation with this person. I definitely feel that you guys are spending a lot of quality time together, especially with the Six of Pentacles. You guys have some semblance of a routine here. And even if it's not always like, let's say one of you really wants to go to like a football game and the other person is like, oh, I don't really like football. It's like you will accommodate each other to go to that game. Or if some person is like, hey, let's go axe throwing, and then the other person is like, oh, that's not really my thing, but I'll try it. That's some of the energy that I see here. I will say the Page of Pentacles reverse can be a little bit stubborn when it comes to change, as I mentioned before. But it does seem to be, with the King of Wands on the end, that eventually, you know, you guys, one of you or both of you will come around to saying, okay, let's give it a try. Let's give it a try. And you'll fall into a bit of a routine, especially with the Six of Pentacles there. Definitely represents saying, all right, you know, there's some give and take here. It's not my favorite thing to do, but if it makes you happy, I'll go and I'll do it, you know, even if they're dragging their feet, right? There's that type of energy to it. I really feel as though this household is, I don't know, it just feels so homely or realistic, or like there's not this element of fantasy. It's like we're living, and yeah, we don't always we aren't always in this place where we're just super lovey-dovey, but we're definitely not at each other's necks. And we learn, we grow, we develop from situations. One thing that I've seen about Pentacles is, for example, this is an example, like if one person has a anxious attachment style and another person has a more avoidant attachment style, this can represent some issues regarding that. Like, oh, I need you to text me when you're leaving from work, so I know that you're on your way or something. And then they might forget to text, and they're like, I didn't even know you were coming. Like, it can create that sort of dynamic a little bit, especially with the Page of Pentacles reverse. This has to do with like routines and even adjust and boundaries. So understanding what's important to the other person. Maybe the other person is like, hey, I'd rather not text or anything while I'm at work. And you have to learn to set that boundary, even though that might be something you discuss prior to marriage. I don't know. I'm trying to give an example, but maybe something within the married life changes, and it's like, okay, we're married now, so when you go on a trip, or like when you're going to the airport, don't book an Uber. I'd rather drop you off at the airport myself, or something like that. And the other person's like, oh no, I don't want to have to do that for you, because, you know, you take a while to get up in the morning and I don't want to miss my flight. And then it becomes about setting boundaries for certain things. I'm not going to keep going back and forth with these different examples, but yeah, you learn to sort that out and say, no, like, okay, you can book the Uber ride, and just let me know when you arrive. Like, there's a sense of trying to understand each other. So I've noticed that with Pentacles, especially when they're reverse, that you guys have to really learn each other's boundaries in the marriage, whatever that case may be. Obviously, the Tower connects to Mars. Mars connects to like your physical body, your physical self. So maybe there's just some boundaries around like intimacy or something like that. Not anything that's non-consensual, but more so maybe one person would prefer to be intimate 3 times a week, and another person would prefer like once a week. And maybe there needs to be some set rules and boundaries on that. That can happen. I don't feel like this is like double date type of couple. I don't feel like you guys are the ones who are hosting a lot of parties or anything like that. If you do, it's probably more so of a small gathering, small get together. As I said, there's a lot of in and out of the house type of energy going on here. I feel like your bond is growing through the spontaneous activities that you choose to do, and the fact that you guys are very helpful and supportive of each other, especially through any health scares or any job changes. There's a lot of support there. when we talk about Mercury, you guys, maybe at first you might be avoiding the hard conversations, but then obviously with this Tower moment, the truth comes out and you guys learn to tackle tough conversations and be open and not be scared of that. There's definitely a lot of learning about each other during this marriage. I already mentioned like the small thoughtful gestures that one of you is going to be giving. Always planning ahead, looking for the next chapter, especially with this King of Wands energy. And I really do feel like this first year may be a little bit of a whirlwind. It may feel as though you're like, who is this person? Because you're learning so much about each other. But it's really good. It's really good because I really do feel like through learning more about each other, it's almost like you guys learn how to better support each other and cheer each other on and learn what motivates each other or what gets each other out of like a funk if you guys are, if one of you are in one. So it's almost like you two become each other's cheerleaders, you become each other's teammates, and you're like, okay, we are making sure we're both living a very happy, fun, fulfilled life, but we're also taking care of our responsibilities and each other. So that is what I have for you. And hopefully this resonates. You know, if not, feel free to choose a new pal or maybe a new reader. But either way, I'm very happy you stopped by. And I hope this is a beautiful, beautiful first year of marriage. And you look back on it and think about all the wild times you have, because there will be some wild times. So I will see you next time. Don't forget, if you want a private reading from me, the link can be found in the description bar below. Just fill out the form and I'll get back to you. I go live on the weekends. That's Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Time will be posted on the community tab by Tuesday Eastern Standard Time, Tuesday night. And sometimes I pop up during the week, so you might want to hit the bell to stay notified. And I'll see you next time. Au revoir. Hey pal, number 4, let's get into the first year of your married life. We have the Death card. We have the 5 of Pentacles. We have the Ace of Swords. We have the King of Swords. Ooh. We have the South Node. Trouble, anxiety about, there will not be. And we have the Queen of Cups here. So, let's get into this. Make sure you got those cards right there. Right. So, when we talk about your first year of marriage, it's actually interesting. I will say there might be just some financial troubles, only because we have that 5 of Pentacles situation going on here, and it's near the Death card. And when we're talking about that, the Death card relates to Scorpio. And that often has to do with shared financial resources. So it's likely that maybe the first year of marriage is rocky in that area. I know probably not the thing you want to hear, guys, but this is reality. This is life, right? It doesn't mean like, oh my God, you guys are going to be struggling financially for the rest of your time married. That doesn't even make sense. But it just shows that there will likely be some challenges in that area. Now, if it doesn't have to do with the shared financial resources, then likely this has to do with maybe it is you guys going through some other upheavals and challenges together. Because when we're talking about the Death card, we're talking about a period of life that has to do with an ending, a transformation, and even situations that can be turbulent. And there are so many different situations out there, right? Maybe you guys are trying to look for affordable housing and you're not seeing a lot of opportunities. Maybe somebody suddenly loses their job, and that can be something that is an issue. There are things like health concerns, or maybe somebody has a parent who suddenly falls ill and they need to be taken care of. These situations happen, right? And so this first year of marriage becomes about becoming closer emotionally, deepening a lot of intimacy due to going through certain troubling circumstances together, right? To me, it feels like there is a strong sense of building of intimacy. Like, if this is really till death do you part, like from in for richer or for poorer, or in weakness or in health, like you guys are really going to have the pressure applied to your marriage year one. And the death card does represent things that can be said, and not always. Sometimes I get the death card to mean something that's like slowly fading out, or even feeling like a bit of a ghost as you walk through certain areas. Like, for example, if you're ready to move on from a relationship, you might feel like a ghost within that relationship, and the death card can represent that. But I don't think that's that for the first year of marriage. You guys are pretty locked in. We see the Queen of Cups. We see the King of Swords. So there is a lot of deep conversations and emotional support going on within your marriage. A lot of connection, a lot of feeling like, hey, I can really weather the storm to this person, and this person has my back no matter what. Because you have to look at the Five of Pentacles card. Yeah, they're out in the cold, and they are going through a tough period, but they're still together. They're still weathering the storm together. Also, I can sometimes get the Five of Pentacles not to necessarily represent financial troubles or financial shifts, but there is a sense of being outcast within this card, okay? So maybe, depending on, I don't know your circumstances, but people have different circumstances, but there may be some rejections from society in regards to your marriage, or even through family. That can happen too, right? Where, let's say someone has in-laws and they're just like, oh, I don't want you to marry that person. If you marry this person, I'll cut you out, right? Like I'll cut you out the will, or I won't talk to you anymore. And it can be something like that, right? Especially since we have the death card connecting to Scorpio, which connects to in-laws. And so it may feel like, oh, my spouse's family has rejected me, or your spouse's family has rejected them, or something along the lines of that. There might be an absence of support on their end. So these are harsh circumstances that could happen, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you guys aren't having a great first year of marriage and that you guys aren't growing intimacy. I really do see a strong support system here. And I see a lot of love and care and affection. And the thing that I love about the South Node is when you have the South Node come and transit a certain area of your life, what it does is it will remove you from circumstances that are not in alignment with your spiritual purpose. And so that can be pretty hard, because the South Node connects to things that are not within the material plane. They're things you can't touch, smell, taste, whatever. It has to do with a spiritual ascension, right? So when it comes to, like, let's say you have the South Node transit your 10th house, you might lose a job. If you have the South Node transit, let's say, your 9th house, well, this can be something like, oh, you lose your beliefs, or the things that you hold dear, or something, a way of thinking, or even like mentorship, like there's a lack of guidance there. So there are some elements that could be going on where you're feeling this sense of, wow, other people are not here to support us through our marriage. There's a lot of people who may feel as though, you know, we don't want you two together, or something along the lines of that. I know it sounds like a movie, but these things really do happen in real life. But if we're talking about just your general dynamic between each other, like I said, this is a deepening of emotional connection. There's a lot of strong communication, a lot of vulnerability, a lot of opening up about your feelings, your thoughts. You guys are really closer than ever. And that's what I love to see about the South Node, because the South Node will put you in this vulnerable situation where you have to change and you have to transform, and you're opening up and you're connecting in ways that are deeper than can be described. So I really see that from the two of you. There's a lot of joint decision making. There's a lot of helping each other out through tough times, through stress. It's actually interesting because sometimes hardship brings people closer together. And I feel like this is the type of situation that's going on here. There's a lot of like, how can we help each other out during this time period? You two are locked in. You two are really seeing the beauty within each other. The thing that I also love about the South Node is the South Node connects to inner beauty. It connects to inner light. And it's about who is the person within. So you'll see a lot of people who are K2 ruled, which is the South Node in Vedic, who look beyond the appearance and they don't form bonds or connections based upon, oh, this person is beautiful, so I want to be with them, or handsome, so I want to be with them. It's very much so, who are you inside, and what is the love that I feel when I'm with you, or the feeling that I get when I'm with you. Not saying that's for every person who has K2 rule placements, but that's pretty much the dominant theme, along with connecting through hardship. Like, you can even look at a lot of K2 movies, or people who have dominant K2 placements, like the what's it called, that Wallflower movie. For some reason I can't remember the name of it. I'm trying to remember the name. It's like Wallflower. Perks of Being a Wallflower. It just came to me. So Perks of Being a Wallflower is one of those movies that is very K2 ruled. And you see how the characters connect through each other through their shared trauma, or even their troubles. And they form a tighter bond through their rejection and their otherness from society, right? You have certain characters who have gone through horrendous circumstances, and they find a shared sense of connection and companionship through coming together. So I really feel that within this relationship for you, pile number 4, it really is a beautiful connection that you have here. And it's a sense of freedom as well. So what will home life be like? Home life's changeable. When we're talking about the Death card and the 5 of Pentacles and the South Node, the home life is frequently going through upheavals, changes, transformations. I feel like within the first year, there's at least going to be one move or one shift or one circumstance where you're going to have to relocate. I feel as though it's not really routine, because 5s connect to change and transformation. So the routine is definitely something that is going to frequently change day to day. And we even have that Death card there to clarify that. Also, K2 can come with an element of unpredictability. A sense of like, I really don't know what's going to happen next, which can be freeing in some ways. So there's that element to it. I think that there is, if I'm looking at things from a routine perspective, I feel like one thing that's going to be constant is the strong, open, and honest communication, which is another trait that is connected to the South Node here. They're known for being extremely honest and very raw and very open. And so one thing that I see that is happening within your marriage in the first year is there is a lot of open communication, a lot of honesty, and I can't emphasize it enough, the amount of vulnerability. For me, when I'm thinking of like chores or daily things like that, this is a teamwork effort. And like I said, it's not really having to do with you do this thing and I do that thing, or etc. Blah, 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 blah. This is like we're working together to make sure that everything is, we can endure it, really, that we can endure these times. Obviously, there is going to be some joint account when it comes to shared budgeting. And like I said, guys, it doesn't necessarily mean that this first year is a financial struggle. As I said, this can also just be a feeling of being outcasted. Feeling as if you don't have that support from friends and family. Do I know why? I'm not sure. But I will say the situation will change. So keep that in mind. This is not something that's going to be lasting. One thing that I've noticed is about the South Node and transits, as well as people who have like prominent placements, K2 placements or South Node placements, I should say, whatever, however you want to call it, is that they often find friendships, or often their friendships become their family. They find a family outside of their home. And to me, I feel as though that is what's happening. Like, for some of you, it's almost like certain people in your life don't want you together. And that's going to cause you guys to have to find a new support system, find someone else, find a new group of people who support your relationship, who value you, who understand you, who connect with you. And I really see that coming in, especially since we have this Eight of Swords, which is all about forming new relationships and ideas. Cups aren't the only card that relate to relationships and connections. Swords do it as well. Even though swords kind of represent thoughts, if you look at things from astrological perspective, which we do on this channel, swords all represent the relationship houses. They represent the 3rd house, they represent the 7th house, and they represent the 11th house. And so this lets me know that new friendships are forming, new bonds are forming, new one-on-one connections are forming. You're making new friends, co-workers, friends, whatever, acquaintances, people are coming into your life that are new. So you're forming a new group of people who are solid, who are there, who can believe in you, who are supportive of your relationship. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why there's this sense of rejection. But to me, you guys are going to manage to find a new tribe together is what I want to say. There's definitely a focus on making sure that you are being wise about any sort of financial investments that you are making, and more than likely trying to set aside for like a rainy day. Because when we're talking about the Death card and emergency situations, and we're talking about the Five of Pentacles, yeah, there's going to be this thought process in your mind that, yeah, we need to save up for emergency situations so that this doesn't happen again, right? There's not many big purchases going on here. And to me, I feel when I'm looking at these cards, I don't see any wand energy. And when I don't see any wand energy, that to me signals that this first year there's not a focus on having fun and having a blast and going out and etc. and things like that. The year of focus becomes about finding that stability, finding a rhythm within your new marriage, within your relationship. Not to say that you're not having fun, but it's a more serious vibe. It really is. And sorry if you click off by now and you're like, oh, this is depressing, whatever. This can be life, right? This can be life. And it's not necessarily depressing. It's just a period of time. So there's not like a lot of like leisure, travel, relaxing, things along the lines of that. Maybe for some of you, this is like, oh, we couldn't afford to go on our honeymoon. So we decided to just like honeymoon at home and work on our finances, work on stability, work on finding a place to stay, work on something else, right? But definitely I get that Five of Pentacles to represent transformation. and change. Obviously, when it comes to the things that you're doing within your free time, I think there is a lot of focus, as I said, on keeping things simple, more so budget dates. If not budget dates, then the dates will be more so out of the box. Because like I said, Five of Pentacles isn't always like a financial hardship. Sometimes you're just doing things that are different. So the activities that you're doing may be a little bit different from the norm. And there's a lot of different things that be different from the norm, like trying a new hobby, right? Like if you're like, hey, let's go do a sound bath, right? That's not the typical everyday thing that people do. Or let's go rock climbing, or let's go what do you call it? The bike riding within like the mountains or something, or terrain or something like that. I forgot what it's called. But something that's like atypical. It's not something that everyone does. So the activities that you can be doing might just be more in alignment with that. Sometimes this is more spiritual, right? If you guys are like tarot readers yourself, or if you're into some area like palm reading, runes, all of this stuff, this is like you're doing a lot of that together. This can even represent like spiritual retreats. So things that aren't the everyday activities, like, oh my goodness, I went to go see a shaman last week. Like that could be falling in line with this energy as well. So the activities that you're doing together, how you're spending your time, is not going to be within the normal realms of society. So I want to emphasize that. As I mentioned before, I feel as though this year is spent on building a new tribe or changing the people that you hang out with or who are within your circle. Maybe not all of them, but some of them are shifting. Some of them are pulling away. I've seen other piles in which they may have a lot of family involved and friends. This to me is not having a lot of like family and friends and over things along the lines of that. This is very much like you two are spending the core of the year together within each other's company. This isn't like I'm having a lot of brunch outings or families coming over to get-togethers. This is more like, hey, we're spending the holidays together. If we're going on a trip, it's just the two of us. I don't know what's going on for some of you, but there really does seem to be a falling out with either friends or family or something like that. Or maybe just like they aren't there to be a part of the picture. But 100% you're overcoming challenges together, and you're starting new traditions for yourself. Because the Five of Pentacles is like, I'm letting go of things that I'm used to. Because it comes from the place of the Four of Pentacles, which is I'm sticking to the traditional, I'm sticking to what I know, I'm not venturing out. And then the Five of Pentacles is that place where you take a risk and you take a chance. Reminds me of like if you've ever heard plenty of stories of people who started a business or who became famous. A lot of them were living out of their cars. I just saw a story about a woman who was on Orange is the New Black, and she said while she was on the show, she was living in a shelter. So taking a risk, taking a chance right before you hit it big, right? And she would talk about how she would be in the shelter at night, but then, she would be also going to parties with billionaires and things along the lines of that at the same time period. So there's this element of like taking a risk before a big opportunity and chance, a change. So pushing the envelope, going beyond what's the norm, taking a chance, trying something new. And so this lets me know that the first year of your marriage, you're building new traditions for yourself. You're taking new risks and new chances. You're creating your own memories. You might even be traveling somewhere new and creating a new life together. That is quite possible. But I don't think that this is like I'm traveling for fun. More so it's like I'm traveling to build a life. I feel as though when it comes to like the work routine, maybe both of you are entrepreneurs. Maybe both of you are like the example that I gave you, where you're taking big risks and you're taking chances that are going to pay off in the long run. And so your first year of marriage is about going through that hardship before the win. And the cards aren't clear on whether this is like, how do I explain it? The cards are not clear on whether this is you guys working from home or going out there in the world to grind or anything like that. I will say when we have the South Node in Scorpio, or we can just treat it as the South Node in the 8th house, this can represent a lack of financial support or opportunities, because if the South Node is in the 8th house, then that means Rahu's in the 2nd house. And Rahu in the 2nd house can represent big gains and wins, but it's generally like over time, because the North Node is like an area that's new to you. It's like an area where you don't have a lot of experience in. So you will make a lot of mistakes when it comes to financial growth, or even just have a lack of opportunities for that. And often Rahu is a very innovative planet. And so this is why I stress maybe a sense of independence, contractor, freelance, entrepreneur, and making money for yourself. Especially when I get the king and the queens. Whenever I get kings and queens, there's a representation generally of being your own boss. And so I feel as though maybe even both of you or one of you is taking that risk and taking that chance. So that's probably part of the picture and part of the story when it comes to your first year of marriage. But there's plenty of time together, lots of intimacy, lots of understanding for each other, not a routine situation. Some days you might eat together, some days you might eat apart, some days someone might be, working long hours, some days they might have a lot of free time. It's just a lot of shifts and changes and transformations going on. It's like one day we're listening to music while cleaning on the weekends. Then we have the next weekend we are both grinding away, trying to set up this life for ourselves. Then the next weekend we're doing early morning coffee. Then the next weekend we're waking up in the afternoon. Like there's not a lot of consistency here. And I think it does have to do with the situation regarding the changes going on in the financial area and things along the lines of that. But there's definitely shifts going. There's definitely a lot of working together, a lot of teamwork. I love this because you guys have such a beautiful relationship that these hard times aren't going to break you. It's not going to hurt the marriage. In fact, it just makes you closer together. Either way, I feel this relationship is strong. You both will be putting in the effort. There's a sense of like us against the world mentality. I love the Ace of Swords because it does show some mental clarity within your first year of marriage, realizing that you may not need any approval from others. There's a sense of like being like the black sheep, right? With this Five of Pentacles there, especially South Node and the sign of Scorpio or the 8th house, however you want to view it. There's this conversations that you may be having with your partner where you're like, we just need to live the way that aligns best with us, because maybe it's unconventional. I see stories of like couples who are married, but people might pressure them to have kids, but they don't want kids, right? And so that's a little bit outside of the norms. That's unconventional. And people may question their decisions or sort of beat them up about it. Then you have other people who maybe one person works, one person stays home, and they're like, oh, why are you doing that? Like, both of you should work. So whatever the thing may be, there's a sense of like, okay, I don't really care what people think about how we live our life and how our marriage is, but we're going to do what's best for us, and we're going to define our marriage how we feel it should be, essentially. So I do want you guys to keep that in mind. And if this is a situation of financial instability, just know that things change, they transform, situations go in new directions. One thing I will say about this South Node in the 8th house is that over time, it does represent like taking control of your own narrative, especially financially, and creating more independence in that area. It can represent being, like I said, your own boss and creating wealth for yourself through investments in particular. So I do want to throw that out there. It's all about reinforcing independence and controlling your own money and decisions. That can happen. And even addressing any past traumas. That's something that may be a theme, and facing them. And doing it together and opening up about it. But that's what I have for you, pal number 4. I feel like you guys have a very beautiful connection, and I love to see this, even if it's representing some sort of hard time. Doesn't matter. The marriage itself is very beautiful and strong, and a lot of deep connection there. So I will see you next time. Au revoir. Hey, pal number 5. Let's get into your first year married. Excuse me. We have the 7 of Cups. We have the 9 of Wands. That would be reversed. We have the King of Wands. We have the 4 of Cups. We have the 2nd house, what you want, what you need. And we have the 6 of Pentacles. We got the 6 of Pentacles for another one as well. See if I can set these cards up. Okay. So, your first year married. To me, it seems as though there is a lot less stubbornness going on when you guys are married. And what I mean by that is when I get the 9 of Wands, I can generally get that when it's upright, to be someone who's fighting for what they believe in, or they have very strong opinions, and they can be very, I guess you could say, disagreeable, because I can't think of another word. And so when we have it reversed, this shows more compromise, this shows more understanding, and this shows at least almost like a temperance type of way, where there is acceptance for the other person's way of life or belief or how they choose to go about things. So it's a lot less imposing energy during the married life. 2nd house is interesting because it does show that there's an emphasis on financial stability, as well as income, as well as what I was saying before, value systems, right? Understanding what it is that you value and what it is that is true to you, right? So I feel as though you're growing in understanding and what is important and what is valuable in this first year of marriage. I feel as though, and honestly, this should be reversed because it's following this King of Wands type of energy. I feel as though I don't think there's going to be any harsh disagreements. And what I mean by that is that I feel as though you guys are the type that's like, this is not even worth the fight. This is not even worth the battle. I don't really get anything out of going neck to neck with you at all. And also, when we have the 6 of Pentacles, that's definitely a willingness to see eye to eye, because 6s have to do with family, balance, responsibility. And so there's a lot of emphasis on responsibility towards the marriage, towards your partner, and even just towards your family in general. I think when I look at these piles, you guys aren't the type of couple that will be like texting each other all the time or calling each other all the time, because we don't have any swords here. We don't even have a house. We don't even have a sword house. And swords represent communication. Swords represent one-on-one partnerships, or if you have a business, it can represent that as well, friendships. And so when I don't see that, that means that there isn't like this strong emphasis on daily communication, like updates during the day, like, oh my gosh, I'm eating lunch now and my coworker said this thing to me. That's not really happening here. And also it can indicate that there's a lot of independence within your marriage, which is not surprising because we got the King of Wands. And it's actually funny because I think another spread got the King of Wands and the Six of Pentacles. So maybe you might feel drawn to that. I don't know. But I feel as though when we have the King of Wands is more so let's talk more action. He's more focused on achieving goals or even just having fun. And I think that's going to be a huge theme around the first year of your marriage. Like, let's just go have fun together. I can often get the Four of Cups reversed. It's like I'm coming out of this period of solitude, and this is, excuse me, the Astro-Tarot deck, by the way. And so on the Astro-Tarot deck, upright, he's pouring the cup out. He sees the offer and he's like, no thanks, right? So if we look at this in the reverse manner, then this can be like he's taking the cup and he's actually considering it and looking at it. And when I see that, for me, it shows that you and your partner are, I guess, more so being open to the activities each one wants to engage in, or even just each other's passions. You show an interest in each other, right? Because when it's upright, you're not showing interest. When it's reversed, you're paying attention, even if it's not something you're particularly fascinated about, right? Like your partner could play video games and you're like, I don't care about video games. But you're willing to listen to them and their battles during the video games and what level they go to or something like that. And just because you know it makes them happy, and maybe it's their way to de-stress. And there's a lot of, honestly, just being in each other's company to de-stress. One thing I know about the Seven of Cups is the Seven of Cups isn't the most I'm being wise about my spending type of options, but I do want to say I don't see a lack of stability here, but it does show that you guys are more so focused on enjoying yourselves. That's essentially the vibe of the Seven of Cups. The Seven of Cups is just like, hey, I have all these options in front of you, and cups tend to want to cater to their emotions. And so you know how our feelings, they go in and out, they're fleeting, we have our desires. And so the cups are more so saying, hey, you're giving in to those desires. The Seven of Cups rules temptation as well. And so I feel like there might be a lot of ordering out, maybe a lot of Uber Eats. There's possibly more spending on things that you find fun and enjoyable, because it follows the Nine of Wands reversed. And so it's like, hey, I'm letting my guard down and I'm going to try something different, or I'm going to try a different perspective, and maybe that costs money or something like that. Things like, okay, I'm afraid of heights, and that's not something I really would normally go to, like on a plane or helicopter ride, but now I'm considering it. I'm going to spend money on it, right? So things like that can happen through the first year of marriage, is considering doing things that you don't normally do and not being too worried about the budget or how much it costs. And ultimately, you guys do end up fine. So there's that. There's a lot of passion within the marriage, especially during that first year. But I will say the King of Wands is, I've seen to be more focused on responsibilities rather than romance, but he is a romantic person. So the romance will be there. The hugs, the kisses, all of that, that is there. That is within the first year of marriage. It's pretty strong. Like I said, with the Four of Cups reversed, it's like I'm taking a hold and I'm valuing what's in front of me, which would be each other, right? Your partnership, what you have together. I think that because we have the second house, both of you will follow a very similar diet. I don't know why this particular energy is coming up, but since I see the second house and that represents what you eat, and we have the Six of Pentacles representing kind of like this give and take, this is like we're eating the same meals. And not everybody eats the same diet as their partners, right? But you guys will eat together. Probably at least one meal, I would imagine, seeing that we have the the second house and the Six of Pentacles. That represents like we're sitting down to share a meal. And you can even see on the cards how these two people are very intertwined, right? And so I feel like that's the energy when it comes to you guys. It's actually interesting because I feel as though this is the type of, we eat breakfast together every morning before work, or we eat dinner at night together, or something along the lines of that, or we decide what we're going to eat to dinner together, or, you know, things along the lines of that. And I was going to say something along the lines of, I think that one of the major sort of bonding moments is like, you're the type of couple that will have a lot of one-on-one time within the kitchen or through meals. Okay, that is like front and center of your marriage. Sometimes couples are like, we go to the gym together, we do, I don't know, chess on the weekend together, we have that. But you guys come together through eating and making meals together maybe, or ordering food, or going out to eat, whatever. But that's how you guys are spending your time together. This can also be if you guys like, both of you like to drink wine, or you guys like certain adult beverages. This can also be that, because the Seven of Cups can represent, like I said, things that are like tempting, things that aren't necessarily always great for you, but I'm not going to demonize it or anything like that, but it can just represent, hey, we both like to go to vineyards, or we both like to go to wine bars, and that's something that we do on the weekend, right? Something like that. To me, this is not like one person does all the work. Otherwise, the Nine of Wands might be more upright, because the Nine of Wands can represent more solo activity, more I'm doing things on my own. You know, you could look at the Nine of Pentacles, independent, or the Nine of Swords, like I'm stuck in my room, I'm anxious. With the Nine of Wands, it's like I do it myself energy. But since it's reversed, it's like, no, I have help. Someone's there to be my partner. So it's not just one person doing all the chores. It's not one person who's always doing the laundry, who is always doing the decorating, who's always, you know, making coffee or doing the dishes or cleaning. This is a partnership for sure, especially with that Six of Pentacles there. It's like we do things together. We handle our things together. Another thing that I see with you guys is you guys aren't particularly going to be homebodies, especially since that Four of Cups is reversed. And fours represent stability, foundation, and they can often be a symbol for home. So when it's reversed like this, this can represent time outside of the home, and just even the Four of Cups itself, you know, whether it's upright or whether it is reversed, it just generally represents a period of reflection away. I often get the Four of Cups to represent vacation, and I'm in retreat mode. And even if it's reversed, it can represent, hey, I'm still in retreat mode, but I might bring my laptop with me, right? So I don't feel as though this is a lot of time spent at home, especially emphasizing that King of Wands. I think I even said this for another pile. King of Wands is somebody who's very active and busy. Even if he's at home, he's doing something. And it doesn't necessarily have to be work related, but it's going to be something where he's just not sitting around on the couch watching TV. Like, he wants to move. Like, he has this fire within him. And so this is very much like, I'm inspired by something, I have to go do it. It's hard to get the King of Wands to slow down. Don't get me wrong, out of all the wand cards, the King of Wands and the Queen of Wands are most balanced when it comes to expenditure of their energy. But at the end of the day, they're still wands, and they've got to be on the move. They've got to go. And so I feel like that is an element of your first year of marriage as well. There might even be a lot of music throughout your household. And I don't know if particular somebody is a good singer or not, but that is coming up for the energy of this pile, because the second house rules your voice. And when we have it next to the Seven of Cups here, this can represent sort of like fantasy and daydreaminess and this entertainment in a way. And so we obviously use our voice to create music. And so that's why I said there may be music flowing throughout the household. Maybe somebody likes to sing while they do their chores or something along the lines of that. But that is what's going to be happening here. Definitely, I think I said this for another deck, but there's some late night snackage going on here. So when it comes to handling finances together, you guys do a good job with going through that together. But like, as I said, the Seven of Cups can represent those expenses that aren't necessarily assets. It's more liabilities. Like, a liability could be like buying a car. Something that depreciates in value would be the Seven of Cups. Granted, the Seven of Cups can represent some smart investments, but for the most part, like I said, the Seven of Cups wants pleasure. It wants instantaneous fun. It wants to live in the moment. And I do think that you guys will do pretty good when it comes to budgeting around that. There may be a few tweaks that come up, but for the most part, you guys have a solid budget, especially since we have second house here. This can also represent help from family as well. You both will more than likely make the decisions together when it comes to expenses, whether that's expected or unexpected. With the Six of Pentacles, it's like both people are generally going to be contributing, especially since we have the second house. Second house is money you make. And out of all the cards or all the pals here, this pal is the most like we both bring in the bacon. So if you're looking to be a stay-at-home husband or wife, this is not the pile for you, because both of you guys are bringing in an income. There's definitely a lot of saving the first year of marriage. Maybe not a lot of saving, but there is some saving for future expenses. So you are thinking long term. But like I said, you guys may discuss the few tweaks that you might need to make in your budget. I don't really see any like scheduling conflicts. I don't see any energy that's like we're separated or we're apart or anything along the lines of that. If anything, this feels like you guys will see each other relatively frequently, if not every day. Maybe someone travels occasionally for work. But if they do, it's not necessarily a long trip, especially since the Four of Cups is reversed. So if they travel for work, maybe it's like a couple of days or something like that. But that's really, it really doesn't show this extreme travel. Also, certain piles will show a lot of traveling and vacation and stuff during the marriage. Like I said, if you guys are going on vacation, it's not very long. It's not some 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks of travel type of energy here. This is very much, we spend most of our time in our city, not necessarily at home, but in the city that you guys live in. Maybe even one person just needs a little bit more time to themselves, just a little bit after work. I don't feel like it's hours and hours of end of one person being by themselves in their room. I feel it's more so like, hey, just give me an hour to decompress, and we are going to, then we can like hang out or be together. But like I said, I don't see a lot of swords here. And so it's almost like the energy is just like we're reading each other's body language. We're paying attention to each other's moods based on how we act. And a lot more so sort of like observations to gauge your partner's moods and things along the lines of that, and navigate that. But you guys aren't necessarily like a talkative household. Like I've gotten, other pals are different. Other pals are like communication all the time, like even at home. It's never off. But I feel like you guys, this is a really quiet type of household for sure. I don't feel as though, I don't know, I just don't get the feeling that there's a lot of disputes going on here at all. I think for the most part, if there are arguments, it's like both of you or either one of you may give in or just say, hey, this isn't even worth it. This isn't going anywhere, or this doesn't seem to be something we should be really focused on. So if there are disagreements, they're very small, they're very petty. It's not mentioning any sort of pets or anything in the household. Maybe, I mean, the King of Wands, he has a lizard in his hand, so that can indicate maybe like a small pet within the household that one of you owns. So I do want to say that. I think that, I don't know, I just get the feeling of quiet within this house. You know, I really do. One thing I will say is one person is particularly active, though they may be a little bit less active the first part of the year, your first year married. They're just more focused on enjoying more relaxation, less physical activity. Like they'll scale it back. They'll still be active, but not as much. But then towards the later part of the year, that's when they'll start getting more or back into their routine. There's not a lot of like, there's some resting, but it's not long, okay? I don't know if you guys are just like insomniac, or if you guys are just like, let's take a quick 30-minute nap during the day. It really isn't about, like, you guys don't have a sleepy household. You know, some people like their long naps. Some people are like, I need my 8 hours of sleep. But you guys, it's like 7 hours, 6 hours, maybe a quick 30-minute nap, and you're up and you're doing things. Family could be involved within this marriage, at least the first year, just because we have the second house, I keep saying two, the second house, which represents family, and we have the Six of Pentacles. So, excuse me. So, what I see here with that is possibly your family is providing you some type of support. And I've seen that for people. I've seen people who've had families buy them like apartments or help them out with debt or certain areas in their lives during their first year of marriage. Maybe somebody has kids. The cards aren't really saying anything regarding children, but maybe somebody has kids and, you know, parents offer to babysit. So it shows a lot of support by your family during your first year of marriage. And this can also represent that family members are giving you advice, because the Six of Pentacles often connects to offering someone something of value. And sometimes that comes in the form of practical advice. And so I feel like one of you or both of you are receiving some sort of practical advice from family members, you know, or maybe they're just offering to babysit, like I said. The bond is really interesting on how it grows over time, because it becomes more, I guess it becomes clearer to both of you what's most important to keep your marriage happy and healthy. And there are certain piles that are like, people are learning a lot about their spouse during marriage, but this doesn't feel as though this is like any surprises coming. If anything, it feels as just though you're settling into a new rhythm, and almost as if the first part of marriage, you guys are working on being very accommodating towards each other. And not to say that you won't do that anymore, but as time goes on throughout the year, you get stronger about what it is that you need from your partner and within your marriage. And you're like, I'm going to stand on this. And then both of you will come to an agreement, rather than sort of like keeping everything in, or maybe just saying, I want to keep the peace. This is more so like, okay, this is important to me, so I have to say something, or I have to act on this. And then you're like, oh, okay, all right, this is important to you, so, you know, I'll make sure to always take out the trash or something like that, right? Or I'll make sure to always, you know, vacuum on the weekends. I don't know, whatever. People have different scheduling days for cleaning, right? But you guys will, it's still not an argument. It's just a realizing that, okay, this is important and my spouse has brought it up to me, and maybe I don't want to do it, but I'll do it anyway because I think this is going to be good for our harmony and our peace. So there is a lot of harmony and peace within this marriage. Definitely a good balance of alone time and couple time. Definitely leaning on each other, knowing each other's habits. I think you guys will probably have a good understanding of each other's habits before you go into the marriage. So it's not a major adjustment. Like, I don't see any fives here. You guys will know each other pretty well. There's like learning a few things, because we do have that Pentacles in that second house. Second house also connects to the Hierophant, and that's about learning and teaching. And so, yeah, you will learn a few things about each other, but it's not going to be anything that's shocking or surprising. Like I said, these are just like little things that you may not have known before, right? You guys do a great job at, or you will do a great job at navigating each other's personal space within your home and adjusting to your roles as partners. I really feel one thing that you guys are excelling at is helping each other out through stressful times and finding good balance for, like I said, romance. Like, the romance is alive within this marriage, even if you guys can't go on these lavish vacations because maybe work schedules or something like that, or cost, who knows. But you're still making time, even if it's just like an hour out to like a nice restaurant or some cute picnic. Like, you're like, oh, we're still going to make time for that. I think that is everything that I see within this marriage. You guys are really focused on creating strong traditions, and I don't feel as though this is anything that needs to be negotiated. I feel like some couples are negotiating new traditions, but you guys will have pretty similar traditions, like in terms of like holidays and what you like to do for them. And so it's like a very easy transition in marriage because you guys both do things a similar way. Like, whether that's like, oh, I prefer to host Christmas, then you're like, yeah, we both prefer to host Christmas, so this works out. So you're both in alignment when it comes to that. And you both will act if your partner is saying that, I feel, neglected in this area. Then the other person takes the initiative to say, oh, right, let me do something about it. So there's definitely a lot of paying attention to each other's emotions and being empathetic towards each other. And even if it feels like this is difficult or hard sometimes, because we do have that Nine of Wands, which can be like this beat up warrior who's like, I don't even know if this is worth the fight. You still keep going. Like, you still keep going, even when it's like, this may feel kind of tough. And I don't mean necessarily it's your partner that's stressing you out. It could just be work. Like, you know, sometimes work exhausts you, and you may not be planning these romantic nights or making that effort towards, I guess, giving the effort towards the marriage that you should because of that exhaustion. And, you know, your partner says something, you're like, oh, wait, let me get on this because this person means something to me. I value them. And I really see with this pile of all of them that you two truly value each other and you truly feel like we are a family. So that is what I have for you, pile number 5. Hopefully this resonates and you have a beautiful marriage, and seems like you guys are doing your best to overcome challenges together and not to overextend yourself or overexhaust yourself with things. But that is what I have, and hopefully you like this reading. If not, you know, feel free to choose a new pal, or maybe I'm not the reader for you. Don't forget that I go live on the weekends. That's Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. So if you want to ask me a question, just come on and stop by to the live sessions. I also do private readings. So if you want a private reading for me, whether that is a Vedic chart reading or a tarot reading, I offer both. So just fill out the form and I'll get back to you. And that is all I want to say for now. And I will see you next time. Au revoir.